Good morning, Rabotai. Welcome to Breakfast in the Class. Breakfast in the Class today is dedicated in loving memory of David's father, Elliot Kanbar, Alav Shalom, Leilun Nishmat Eliezer ben Hana, for his 12-month Askara, Eliezer ben Hana, sponsored by Stacy and David Kanbar. Also, Breakfast in the Class sponsored by Emmanuel Zara, dedicated in honor of Rabbi Abragamov for his wonderful and impactful teachings. Breakfast in the Class also sponsored by Yaakov Shirazi on the occasion of Rosh Chodesh Kislev, La'atzlacha b'kol mikol kol, for success in everything. The Rosh Chodesh King, for Fu'ah Shlema, for Eliyahu Shimon Mazar, for Tuneh, and for the continued health, Be'ezrat Hashem, of Chana Bat Fega. The year of Breakfast in the Class is dedicated in loving memory of Nishmat Ruth Orfali Bat Adela, sponsored by our family, and the learning for this week is dedicated by the Torah Center Diamond donors Jack and Shella Sit in honor of their children, Marilyn, Norma, Barry, and Allison Sit. As well, today's class is dedicated for the Askara of Tzvi Yaakov Kamenetz, Tzvi Yaakov ben Yitzchak Gizi, by his son Ronen Kamenetz. And as well, the class today, Be'ezrat Hashem, should be for Ilui Nishama, for Tamar Amar Batzara. Tenishmata Eden, we should be zocheh to find nehama for her entire family, Be'ezrat Hashem. My friends, let us begin. The parasha tells us a interesting line which seems at first glance to be unimportant. The pasuk says, Vayetze Yaakov be'er Shava, Yaakov left Be'er Shava, Vayelech Haran, and he went from there to Haran. And Rashi, famous Rashi, immediately picks up on the fact that it seems like there's no difference whatsoever in telling us this fact. And what does that mean? If you tell me that Yaakov left Be'er Shava, right, then you tell me that Yaakov went to Haran, you could have condensed that and it made it easier. All you had to tell me was that Yaakov went to Haran. You don't need to tell me that he left Be'er Shava. Automatically, if you tell me someone goes somewhere, I know that the person had to leave the place they were in beforehand. I lived in Israel, and then I lived in London, and then I came here. I just tell you, I now live in Manhattan. What do you know? You know I must have left Israel. I must have left London because I'm here. And if I'm here, I'm not there. My friends, Rashi says something very, very famous, very, very interesting, and I think very, very pertinent. Rashi says, this comes to tell you, Sheyetziat tzadik makom, when a tzaddik leaves a place, oseh roshem, the leaving of a tzaddik from a place, that makes an impact. When he's there, he is the city's ziva, he is its shine, hoda, hadara, he is its glory, he is its splendor, he is the kavod of the place. The place is special because it's his town. But when he leaves, what happens with him? Panaziva, the glory, the shine, the honor, all of that leaves along with him. My friends, this idea is telling us, I believe, something very, very powerful. It tells us that when a person leaves the place that they were in and comes somewhere, there's an impact made by the fact that they left. And of course, that impact that they took with them from the place that they were in now comes along with that person. It left with him, so to speak. That's what the pasuk is communicating. That when a tzaddik leaves a place, the honor and the glory that he brought to that place, it's gone from the place he was in, and it comes along with him to his new location. We have with us today an example of that in the flesh. We have sitting here Yoni Gabay, and his first long-time listener, first-time attender live. We want to give a shout-out as well to his father, Meir Gabay, Azaku Baruch, on raising such a son, and as well, Shalom Wolfish. They're here from Darche, from the yeshiva in 5 towns. Look at these boys on their off Shabbat. They don't have to be in yeshiva because they have vacation. And where do they come on their vacation? They come to be part of Breakfast in the Class live. That's a Yitziat Tzadik Min HaMakom Oseh Roshem. And you brought your Roshem here with us, boys. Hazaku Baruch. My friends, what are we learning over here? We're learning over here a very beautiful idea. I'll share with you a phrase, a quote that I've shared many times before because I found it to be so impactful. And the quote goes like this. It is hard to make your presence felt, but it is much harder to make your absence felt than your presence. You know, you walk into a room, you smile, you tell a joke, you know, you make people feel good. People can feel that you're there, that you're present, that you're with us. But my friends, you know, when you left, already, you know, something else is keeping people occupied. They're thinking about something else. At this point, after you've gone, it's very hard for the fact that you were here to have an impact on somebody. So it's much harder to make your absence felt than it is to make your presence. And I think really on some level, that's what this pasuk is communicating to us. That's what this idea is sharing with us. That when a tzaddik leaves a makom, he leaves a place, panaziva, panahoda, panahadara, to tell you that the tzaddik is the glory of a place, that the tzaddik changes the place with his honor, with his shine, with his Torah, that I think everybody understands. But the hidush is, now that the tzaddik left, can you feel the fact that he left? A lot of times, it doesn't feel that way, that when the tzaddik leaves, he takes it with him. After he gave his impact to this place, his impact is here. Sometimes you find, you have a Talmid Chacham, he's been in a place for a long time. And you know what? After that rabbi has been there for a very, very long time, you know what happens? The people feel like, I heard everything from him, I learned everything I could learn from him, now let me hear from this new rabbi, this new person. And what they're interested in is not actually anything about this new rabbi more than the old one. It's just that there's something new about the new rabbi. So they're attracted to the newness. But that doesn't mean that the previous Chacham, who was maybe a much bigger Talmid Chacham, he had much more inside of him than the newer rabbi. But the people don't see it. They don't appreciate it. And at this point, if the tzaddik left, they don't really think it would make all that much of a difference now that this tzaddik left. Why? There's somebody else here. We've moved on to somebody else. We learned everything from him. What else is he going to do? He's already not teaching so much. My friends, at this point, comes Rashi to tell you that when a tzaddik leaves a place, panaziva, panahoda, panahadara. And I'll tell you, unfortunately, this is something that people don't always understand. I'll give you an example for this. There's a website that disseminates a tremendous amount of Torah called Torah Anytime. And it's amazing to think about how much Torah is spread by these websites. iTorah, the revolution it's made in our community and in the world, unbelievable. These websites that are run by dedicated people who care so much about teaching Torah to the whole world. Now, I remember many, many, many years ago when I first joined on Torah Anytime. Anyway, I gave a class. I looked down and I see a lot of people saw the class. I couldn't believe it. Maybe not like where we're at today. It was more in the early stages of Torah Anytime when if you had 600, 700 people watching a shiur, it was crazy. 1,000 people watched the shiur, nuts. Anyway, I'm looking at this class that I gave. I couldn't believe how many people. Right underneath the shiur that I gave, right? This little pisher, young rabbi, maybe 28, 29 years old. Right under the shiur that I gave, I see there was a shiur that was given by, I think it was Rav Shmuel Kamenetsky. And if it wasn't a tzaddik, a gaon olam like Rav Shmuel Kamenetsky, it was someone of that ilk, of that caliber. And the number of people that had watched the class, the shiur that he gave, was far less. And I must tell you, I felt at that moment almost like a little nauseous, a little sick. Sick that people should see. More people should have tuned in to hear what I had said than to hear what this great rabbi, this Talmid Chacham, this Gaon Olam, Afar Leraglayu, I am dust to his feet, what he had to say. To me, my friends, it made me nauseous. What's the answer? Maybe a lot of answers. Maybe the rabbi, what's it called? The Talmidim, his students, are not on the internet at all. Maybe as an example, they listen to him live, that's where they go listen to him. Not chas v'shalom that it meant anything, but I felt like even just the fact that it looked like that was like a chilul Hashem. At the time, I actually said something to the two tzaddikim, the two brothers, Ruvain and Shimon Kol Yaakov. I said, it's not right. And I remember afterwards, one of the things that they did was they took down the view count at the time. So you couldn't see that anymore. And it made me very happy to know that was not something that anyone would ever think, even for a split second. My friends, I want you to understand what I'm trying to communicate here. Maybe that rabbi doesn't tell as many stories and jokes. Maybe that he's not entertaining. Maybe he's giving a high-level shiur that people don't want to watch, while they're running in the gym. Does that mean that the shiur that he's giving is anything less than the shiur? Of course not. But my friends, a lot of times, the nature of a Talmid Chacham and what he gives and what he communicates is not given and is not expressed in the shiur itself. That's not where it's communicated. The very fact that that person, that tzaddik is alive and present in the generation as a role model is enough in and of itself to be able to inspire and to educate and to lift people's spirits. My friends, I want to share something that I think is very powerful. The Gemara tells us in Yerushalmi that Rabbi Yehuda Anasi said, and the Gemara says that Rabbi Yehuda Anasi said that one day, looking out the window, he saw Achored Rabbi Meir. He saw the back of Rabbi Meir. And you know why he says, you know why I was Zocher to Torah? Because for one second, I glimpsed the back of Rabbi Meir's head. Now, I want you to be clear. Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, his father was Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. He studied Torah from Rabbi Yehuda bar Ilai, from Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, from Vayetze ben Shamua. And he's telling you, on top of all of those great tzaddikim that he studied with, when he was younger, the reason why he became Rabbi Yehuda Anasi is because he saw the back of Rabbi Meir. My friends, Rabbi Yashiv points out, he says that this sighting of Rabbi Meir, where was it? It wasn't something that he saw or he witnessed while Rabbi Meir was giving a big shi'ur. Like he went to a shi'ur, ahlan wa sahlan, welcome, all the way from across the ocean. It wasn't that he saw somebody in the middle of the class, he got a bad seat in the shi'ur, and he heard Rabbi Meir give the biggest, most impactful shi'ur of his life. It wasn't like that. Adrabah, he saw him passing by, Rabbi Meir made a comment, and after Rabbi Meir made the comment, Rabbi Yehuda saw the back of his head. Said Rabbi Yashiv, it was enough to see Rabbi Meir just walking down the street, and not even to see his face, but to see the back of his head, that Rabbi Yehuda Anasi could say the reason why he was Zocher to Torah was because of that. My friends, this is what it means. Pana ziva, pana oda, pana hadara. That when the tzaddik leaves, he takes all of that shine, that glory, that pedestal, that role model nature that we're able to look up without a shi'ur, just to witness the person. That's enough, my friends, to change people forever. I felt this way when I was sitting at the funeral of Rabbi Michael Haber. His neshama should be a Melitz Yosef for his incredible family, and Refuah Shema for his grandson, Be'ezat Hashem. I remember sitting there listening to his sons talk about him, listening to the rabbis talk about him, and I felt a tremendous loss. I felt like, what are we going to do now that Rabbi Michael Haber is no longer with us in our keilah? That things were not going to be the same. And I want to explain that feeling, if I could. Let's be clear. By the end of his life, he was sick for a long time, the rabbi. He was no longer operating in the same way that he once was. He wasn't writing all the books that he once was in the same level. He wasn't teaching out in the same level. He was very sick. But still, the loss of him as a tzaddik in the community was unbelievable. We were no longer the same community when Rabbi Michael Haber, alav shalom, passed away. And I can tell you, I felt that sitting there in the room. That's what it means, Achored Rabbi Meir. That's what it means when it says, Pana ziva, pana oda, pana adara. There were things that you couldn't do because Rabbi Haber is a rabbi in our community. How could we do that? This is our rabbi. He's a tzaddik, he's a kadosh. My friends, our Chachamim tell us that the generations in Egypt, you know when they began to slide, you know when they began to descend in Egypt, when the She'bud started, when the last one of the Shevatim passed away. Now you'd think that that's the reason, because the last of the Shevatim, he's giving Torah classes, he's making a kinus, chizuk. No, that's not the pshat. The very fact that he was with the people, it set a bar. And once that bar was gone, my friends, a lot of things could change. My friends, I want to give you a crazy experience, a crazy example of that. You know, the Pasuk is telling us that once the Tzaddik left, that impact, it was no longer there. But I think we also have to think about what it looks like when we leave a certain place, when we leave a certain city, when we leave this world, is the impact that we want sitting there behind us. I want to give you an example of this idea that hopefully maybe you'll understand what I'm trying to communicate. There was a video last week that came out about Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson recently had some sort of fight against some kid. He lost, and the whole world was going crazy about Mike Tyson fighting again. Anyway, some little kid, 13, 14 years old, she asked Mike Tyson, what do you think your legacy is going to be? And listen to what he said. He said, I don't believe in the word legacy. I just think that's another word for ego. Legacy don't mean nothing. It means, right? Legacy don't mean nothing. It means nothing to me. I'm just passing through. I'm gonna die and it's gonna be over. Who cares about legacy after that? We're nothing, we're just dead, we're dust, we're absolutely nothing. Our legacy is nothing. This is what he says to a 14-year-old. Now, b'mechilat kavod, Mike Tyson, when your legacy is your ego, you're right, it doesn't matter. When your legacy and what you stood for was punching people in the face, including your girlfriend, okay? Then your legacy means nothing. Absolutely correct. But when your legacy does mean something, when it's important that you lived, when people will change for the better because you existed, because you impacted them, then it makes a huge difference. I want to share with you, I remember a little while ago, I don't know if any of you remember this. There was a video that came out, a very, very old video. It was a 2-second video. You know what the video was? L'havdil elef alfei avdalot, v'rov ribei revavot. It's a 2-minute video. All of a sudden, you see a bunch of people walking, they're arriving at a kenes, at a big gathering in Europe. And they're standing, we have no pictures of him, we had no videos of him other than this. Who walks in? The Chafetz Chaim. And for 2 seconds, you see the Chafetz Chaim. Rabbi Arking, did you see that video? Of the Chafetz Chaim walking into Vienna? Unbelievable. How many times did you watch it? I just watched it on repeat. I watched it 1,000 times. Why did I watch it 1,000 times? He doesn't say one word. There's no Chidushei Torah. But you're watching someone, a malach, walking, you see something very special. I'm immediately struck as I'm looking at him that this man somehow manages to have a mixture of anava and melucha at the same time. He's incredibly humble, but he's like the king of the world. And you could see it. The holiness of who he was. I watched it on repeat 1,000 times. My friends, I did not watch the Mike Tyson video as many times I watched that once. That was 2 times, that was enough. But this one I watched again and again and again and again. Because Achored Rabbi Meir. Because you could become a person like Rabbi Yehuda Anasi from seeing a Sadiq from the back once. I thought maybe if I watch the Chafetz Chaim 1,000 times, maybe I'll become a somebody. My friends, let's think about the Chafetz Chaim for 1 second. He was a person, Chafetz Chaim was a person that a lot of people, they don't even know his name, Rav Yisrael Meir Kagan. Why do we call him the Chafetz Chaim? Because he wrote a book. He saw that people were not being careful about Lashon Hara, so what did he do? He decided he's going to write a book on Lashon Hara. Those words, Chafetz Chaim, you know why he's called that? The Pasuk says, Mi ha'isha Chafetz Chaim, who's a person who desires life, Ohev yamim lerotov. Who's the guy who wants to have a good life? Nitzor l'shonecha me'ra u'sifatecha medaber mimah. Make sure you don't speak Lashon Hara. So he wrote a whole book on the Chafetz Chaim. The world was forever changed because he wrote that book. We today are careful with Lashon Hara. I hate to say it, not because of the Torah. In the fact that the Torah wrote about it, right? Numerous times, nobody cared. Somehow, it slipped through the cracks. And he wrote it to strengthen the people's resolve and understanding of that mitzvah. And he changed the way Am Yisrael lives forever because of Lashon Hara. My friends, that's the legacy of a Sadiq. That he leaves behind. That he impacts the people. But my friends, you don't have to be a Sadiq to leave that kind of legacy. I have a custom on my Shabbat table. I like to ask a question at the Shabbat table. Not a question like, how old was this guy when he died? Not like that. I like to ask a question that people will think about after they left the table. This past week, we talked about Yaakov Avinu, and Yaakov Avinu steals the berachot, even though there really is berachot. But he steals berachot. And I asked people at the table, I said, how many times did you steal berachot? They said, what do you mean? I said, how many times have you been in a situation where everything was going terribly, and it's a terrible situation, and out of all of that kilala, you managed to steal a bracha? Somebody's not well, it's dangerous, horrible. But from that sickness, you stole a berakah. You developed a relationship with your wife and children that you thought to yourself, oh my gosh, I don't have time. Nobody ever lives until they're scared of dying. And all of a sudden you make sure to do all the important things. My friends, today, all we do is we look for ways to kill time. Now, if you're on social media, there's lots of things that are wrong, asur, about social media. You could be on the internet, you could be watching things, no question, there's a problem. The problem is things that you're going to see, no problem. Things that you're going to hear, no problem. But my friends, the very idea that we're killing that time, never mind for a second anything else. Just the scrolling, doing nothing. And what did you get from it? Nothing. You're watching seasons. What did you get from it? Nothing. And you burned all that time. How much time do we get in this world? Our time in this world goes by like this. I'm asking all of you. You remember the day you got married? Wasn't it like 2 seconds ago? Remember your childhood? 2 seconds ago. And now here I am, old guy. I have 4 grandkids. Blah, blah, blah. Is Hashem anymore? I remember Rabbi Mizrahi when he first came, young, fresh man, right? 10 seconds later, now ready? He's a big Talmid Chacham. He's running a school, many thousands of Talmidim. Time flies. What do you waste? Forget what the negative. Who has the time to not make the impact that we want to make on our kids, on our grandkids, on our communities? That's what I think, my friends, we're learning from this idea, Pana Ziva, Pana Hoda, Pana Hadara. My friends, today I re-recorded this class. And the reason is because yesterday when I gave the class, I gave the whole class and then I noticed at the end of the class, I did not hit the button record. I didn't hit it. And when I didn't hit the button record, what happened? Didn't record. I felt terrible. There's people who had a yard site and I missed the day. And I'm not going to be here for a couple days now, so I'm not going to get a chance to redo it for them. I felt terrible, my friends. But that's how life is. If you're not careful to record something, that something should have an impact, that it should be around afterwards, what's going to happen? It will move on. We're dust. We're nothing. And what's there afterwards? Nothing. Every interaction with your children, with your family, should leave an impact. Every interaction that a person has, we should ask ourselves, what will people think? How will it change? Not for my ego, that it should matter that I existed. That's the lesson that we're learning from Panazi. And make sure that if you lived your whole life and you struggled and you worked, that at least you pushed record and it made a difference. My friends, I want to end by saying that this class has been dedicated in loving memory of Asher ben Mashallah on his first Askara. May his Neshama have the highest aliyah, sponsored by his loving grandchildren, Asal, Joey, and Daniela Azagi. Also in honor of Rosh Chodesh Kislev, may we all see miracles and the safe return of our hostages. Amen. Rabotai, please stay with us. Rabbi Mizrahi is going to be beginning immediately. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen.